Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Regular board meeting for the Lammersville Unified School District Board of Education. Tonight is December 18th, 2019. I call the meeting order at 7 o'clock. If everyone at this time would please silence your cell phones and know that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. There are blue cards in the back. We ask if you complete those if you'd like to speak during public comment and bring them to the front. This time I'd like to call Lammersville Elementary School Board, or Elementary School to the podium so they can introduce the Pledge of Allegiance and a quick presentation.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Nicholas. We are very excited to be here to get a little glimpse in the life of a Lammersville Lion. I would like to bring up Jack Carl and Travis Leos to do the pledge and the presentation.
Oh, looks like all you guys already stood. Ready, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us all here tonight. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown about what's been going on at our school these past few months. So one of our big parts of our weeks are our Friday assemblies. And every Friday we go over our character trait for the month and how students can display it on campus. At the end of each month, one class will come up with a skit or a song to go along with our character trait for the month. We also have our Student of the Month awards, and those are students who are recognized for a specific character trait chosen for that month. And one is awarded to each student from their grade level. Students also have the opportunity to eat pizza, cookies, water, or Capri Sun with the principal and other students that were chosen for that month. Our newest addition to our Lammersville family is is Leo the Lion, and he shows up to like our school events, like our homecoming parade and our trimester awards. We also recently had our drama production called Disorder in the Court, and it was a big hit with our students and our families. They were able to utilize the newly installed projector, and a student hand drew the background, and they were able to display it through the projector. And one of our students was so dedicated to their role that they actually cut their hair for it. So that was pretty cool. And I'm gonna let Jack take it away here.
Our ASB students planned some dress days for Red Ribbon Week. For Monday, they planned Wake Up Drug Free, which we got to wear our pajamas to school. For Tuesday, they planned Turn Your Back on Drugs, which was you wear like your shirt or your hat backwards. And then on Wednesday, they did Be Brighter Than Drugs, which was wear a neon color. Then for Thursday, they said Drugs Are Scary, which was we got to wear our Halloween costumes. And then different classrooms got to go in the front of the school and tie a red ribbon to one of our poles to honor Red Ribbon Week. And then that picture is of our kindergarten classroom tying their red ribbons. Another big part of our school is our attendance awards. Every month, every month, students are entered in a raffle to win a $25 Amazon gift card. They are entered in that raffle by having perfect attendance. Also, classrooms have kind of like a competition, like whoever has the highest percent of being attended to school, they have, sorry about this. So every classroom has a percent, like for being there to school on time and not leaving. And then whichever class has the highest percent wins a poster to hang up in their classroom, and it's basically like a bragging right. Then our 6th graders went to science camp in October this year. It seemed pretty fun for them because they got to go and like see skits at the end of the day. They got to roast marshmallows. They got to learn a lot about banana slugs. They even learned a song about banana slugs. And then some of our upcoming events at Lammersville Elementary School is our ASB Winter Week. Our LES Has Talent, which is hosted by our LSF. Our ASB Winter Week, ASB Winter Wonderland Dance, which is for 5th through 8th graders. Our LES STEM Science Night. Our Read Across America Week. Our LSF Dinner Auction Dance. Our ASB sponsored K through 4th grade sock op. And our troop donation and packing day. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much for the presentation. Very good, very informative. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a very exciting meeting coming up, but if you guys want to go home, you're more than welcome. Yes, homework, yeah. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Ann Bonilla.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Ruxar Mohammed.
Here.
Approval and corrections of the agenda.
There are none. Move to approve the agenda. Second.
I have a motion by trustee Clements, second by trustee Lampel. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Recognitions. I am very excited to present tonight's recognition to the Mountain House Matters, Brian Harrison. This is the CSBA 2019 Golden Quill Award. Brian Harrison has been chosen as one of 25 recipients of the Golden Quill, presented in recognition of fair, insightful, and accurate reporting on public school news by print, broadcast, and online news media representatives. The Golden Quill Awards are presented by the California School Boards Association to recognize outstanding education journalism and highlight the essential role journalists play in, excuse me, in increasing understanding of the objectives, operations, accomplishments, challenges, and opportunities related to public schools. We don't have a whole lot of publications in this town. Brian provides a very good service for us in keeping everyone informed of what's going on in town. He's taken this on all by himself and has taken what started off as a very small paper and turned into something substantial now. I'm on the board of directors for CSBA, so as a board, we try to participate in CSBA programs, and when this program came to be 2 years ago, I immediately thought, Brian has definitely earned it. So we have a certificate for you, and also your name's going to appear in a press release from CSBA, and it'll be published on the CSBA website and the spring edition of the California School magazine. So if we can go up and shake hands.
President Balzerini, Board of Trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you. Dr. Nicholas called me to let me know, and he was so excited. And once he told me, then I was excited as well. It's quite a humbling honor, and I just really want to thank you all for even thinking of me. I know there aren't a lot of media options in town. Mountain House Matters, we try to present a neutral standpoint, and it's difficult when I live here in town as well sometimes. But I want you to know I appreciate each and every one of you for all the work that you do to help make this community as great as it is. And the school district has come so far in just a few years, really. You guys have done an amazing job. So it's an honor for me just to be a part of that in my little way that I do. And this says a lot. So thank you all so much.
Congratulations. All right, moving on to committee reports. Item A, District Advisory Committee. Trustee Lempel.
The District Advisory Committee met on November 19th. The superintendent and staff reviewed the 8 state priorities and our 3 LCAP goals. It was made clear that when LUSD says its focus is on all students, it means all. Our data shows that we're doing a good job serving the 25% of our population that are traditionally harder to reach. This is admirable, as it is a challenge for all districts. The data also shows that we are shrinking the achievement gap in math, but we still need to concentrate on the levels of achievement of our special education students in math, as the number of students in the lowest level has not changed. Again, this is common throughout the districts, but I personally appreciate when staff is willing to show our successes and also points out where we need to keep working. One parent had concerns about our GATE program. He appreciated the responses he had been receiving from staff and looks forward to continue working with them. And the next meeting is on March 9th.
Thank you. Item B, District English Language Advisory Committee. Trustee Bonilla.
So the last DLAC committee meeting, the next DLAC committee meeting will be held on January 30th. That's it.
Okay. Item C, Education Committee. Trustee Palmer.
At our most recent Education Committee meeting, staff gave a very nice presentation on activities and excursions that families could do during the Christmas break to help keep students engaged in learning, and it was a nice presentation. Not really well attended, but it was a good presentation.
Item D, Facilities Committee. Trustee Clements.
The next committee meeting is actually tomorrow, December 19th at 6:30 right here in the boardroom.
Okay. Item E, Policy Committee. Trustee Bonilla.
So the policy committee is reviewing another set of policies. They will be reviewed by January 15th, or no, excuse me, yes, January 15th. And then we will be bringing them forward.
Thank you. Item F, Safety Committee. I was absent, so Trustee Pombo.
At our most recent Safety Committee meeting of November 20th, we spent time working on a tabletop exercise where members were given a scenario, and then we went through the steps to handle the situation and debrief site emergency drills.
Item G, Wellness. Trustee Pombo.
At the most recent Wellness Committee meeting, the staff gave a presentation on well-being and then led a discussion on well-being and student services. Staff gave an update on the Healthy Kids survey, and the committee discussed the upcoming farmers market.
Thank you. Governing Board reports. Student Trustee Mohammed.
So in the past month or so, we've had our annual winter rally and annual Night to Remember dance. And the same day also we had our first ever Mountain House Got Talent show in the theater. And that had had a good turnout, even though it was the first one. And end of November, there was a dance production. That was 2 days. And then during Thanksgiving break, leadership had our very first Winter Wonderland event, and that had games and activities for young kids during break, and that also had a great turnout. And yeah, at the moment, not much else is going on.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bonilla.
So on November 8th, I attended the white coat ceremony at Mountain House High School, where I was very impressed by the level of scholarship that the students were displaying. It felt much more like visiting a college campus than a high school. Some of the research that was being done was just phenomenal. It was all very well put together, as always, by Ms. Olson. And I just want to thank all of the staff at Mountain House High School for all they're doing for those students and the opportunities they're providing. And other than that, I've been reviewing some policies. That's it.
Thank you for that. Trustee Clements?
I had the honor of attending the CSBA conference in San Diego with most of my peers on the board and Dr. Nicholas and Noel. And I continue to focus on special education and equity, learning more about that and focusing in on that on my as an education process. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Pombo?
I also attended the white coat ceremony, very impressed with the level of knowledge of our young kids that are participating in that program. I went to the Mountain House High School drama production of Game of Tiaras. Very fun, very impressive acting and comedic talents showed by our students. I attended the aforementioned safety committee meeting. I also attended the dance production Falling, which was very impressive as well. A little trouble figuring out my computer, I apologize. I also attended the CSBA conference where I focus mostly on safety and wellness issues, but I also presented along with Trustee Lampel on a session on bond and the board member duties as far as implementing a bond. I went to the Lammersville Elementary School play Disorder in the Court. Very well acted, very fun to watch. Principal Duran hosted me for a site visit at Lammersville, and Principal Sharp hosted me for a site visit at Cuesta. With the site visit at Cuesta, I've done site visits at all of our campuses this year, and I got to tell you, it never ceases to amaze me the level of site administrators, teachers, and students we have in this district. We're very lucky when it comes to that. I very much enjoy doing site visits and seeing what's going on at the campuses. I attended the Winter Extravaganza at Hanson Elementary, the Crafts with Santa at Cuesta Elementary, and the Winter Festival at Altamont Elementary, as well as the Winter Concert at Lammersville Elementary. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Lampel?
So like my colleagues, I also attended the CSBA Annual Education Conference, and like Trustee Pombo said, I was honored to sit on a panel with him. We were joined by a board president from another district, a superintendent, and a bond expert to help us with the questions. The audience seemed to appreciate that we did not profess to be experts in bonds, but we did offer suggestions of what questions board members should be asking of staff. Besides that, I attended sessions on safe and supportive schools for LGBTQ students and growth-based teacher evaluation system, just to mention a few. I also had the pleasure of attending the white coat ceremony for our biomedical students. Every year I sit there and I say, the cure for cancer is standing on that stage. These students are so impressive. This group grows every year. There's an amazing group of high-achieving students led by their amazing teacher, Chris Olson. I delivered my liaison report to the CSD in November and December, and I also appreciated the Game of Tiaras. It was absolutely hysterical. It was a fun night. It was very well done. On December 10th, I attended what we call the 2x2x2 meeting, which is a liaison communications meeting between the school board and the CSD, and I'll defer that part of my report to President Balzerini. On December 13th, I attended Altamont's Winter Extravaganza. Once again, Trustee Pombo and I enjoyed our bidding war. I think I won this year.
Indeed.
And I would like to wish all of our staff and our community very happy holidays and a wonderful new year. And that's my report.
Thank you. On the 21st of November, I thank you to the Mountain House High School, Mr. Faubert, for giving me a site visit. I had the opportunity to go visit the advisory period. And can we get an explanation just for the board, kind of a high-level explanation about what that exactly
For Mr. Harrison, why don't you come up and give a brief overview, and if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of the details of it, Mr. Faubert would be happy to, but we'll let Mr. Harrison start.
So advisory period is a period where students and teachers meet and things other than the reading, writing, and arithmetic may occur, such as social development, issues that are occurring at school, maybe safety issues may pop up during those periods. They have a curriculum that, social emotional curriculum that they use to help students be successful at school. What else am I missing? And then the digital, thank you. And the digital citizenship is another thing that they address in that class.
Thank you. We've talked about it at a very, very high level, but going and seeing it was amazing for me. This is a great opportunity. The same teacher sees the same students all 4 years. And everyone knows my background as far as safety is concerned and my passion for school safety. We have a problem in this country with mental health. And this advisory period is a perfect opportunity to catch students in crisis. And I'm hoping to see this continue to improve and evolve, and I will be visiting frequently to go visit advisory just because I think it's so very, very important what we're doing right now. I'm very impressed that we do that. We've talked about it, but I never got to see it, and it was, like I said, it was very impressive. If you have the opportunity, check it out. And again, thank you for the site visit. I was at the conference. I went out a couple days early for the board of directors, CSB board of directors, and delegate assembly meetings. And then on the 10th, I attended the 2x2x2 with Trustee Lampel and board members Dan Harrison and Manny Moreno at the CSD. This is turning into a good process. We're meeting every couple of months, and it was just kind of checking in, more construction discussion than anything else. But it was enlightening, nothing really of interest. It was just kind of checking in. So really not much to report. Did you have anything else on that?
We both left out the Golden Bell. We all left out the Golden Bell.
I have it coming up. It's coming up. Yes. And while we were at CSBA, I had the pleasure of going up with Dr. Nichols to receive our third Golden Bell. So we've seen it.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the district.
Do we want to mention real quick what the Golden Bell was for?
We did receive it. It was for walking, talking instruction, and if you would like to give an overview.
Yeah, we've been working on a model that's based originally on a instructional rounds book called Instructional Rounds, based on the way doctors do their rounds at a hospital. With the great team that we have, we've kind of evolved with teacher feedback and administrator feedback into a model that we think other districts could replicate. So we submitted that application, but really it's a combination of we have a check-in in the morning, we have a calibration exercise where one of our coordinators teaches a lesson, then about 55 adults in the room, teachers, site administrators, district administrators, all use a rubric, and then they talk about how they scored the rubric on best instructional practices. And then once everybody's calibrated, teams go out to all of our school sites. They walk a number of classrooms, and then they come back, and over lunch we debrief what they saw and put to test our calibration exercise in an attempt to have great conversations about high-quality instruction across the district that are consistent and systematic.
And the process for CSBA, as a regional director, I have to have a delegate come and do a validation of the program to qualify for the award. When we met in San Diego, that delegate came to me and said, "What a great program." I immediately went back to my district to try and implement it there. So that's what the program's all about. And again, we are becoming the model. So congratulations to all. Last year at this time, I discussed goals for myself and the board, and I want to report back. The superintendent evaluation process, we used the tool that the board had created the year prior. Everyone contributed. We reached consensus, and the supervisor received his evaluation in writing on time. The gamut policies was a major issue last year at this time. The turnaround time. I had a knockdown, drag-out fight with CSBA, and they responded accordingly. And I'm happy to say now what went from a multiple month turnaround is now within a couple weeks. And please let me know if that changes. Board bylaws, which hadn't been updated since 2008, were visited and updated by this board. Thank you. The committee assignment process, including the community member on the facilities committee, was revisited. The process was cleaned up, and we memorialized it in the bylaws. More good work. And I just want to say that I've worked hard this year as a president in an effort to keep us organized and on track. I thank you for your trust with me as the chair this year. And that concludes my report. Moving on to public comment. I do have a speaker card. Did you want to speak during public comment or during the item? Because it is on the agenda. It's up to you. At the agenda item? Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during public comment? Okay. Just as a reminder, the board will give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee to take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall be limited to a total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Moving on to consent items for consideration. Item A, governing board minutes from the regular meeting on November 6th. Item B, ratification of budget revisions and warrants from October 1st through October 30th. Item C, contracts under $50,000. Item D, ratifications of new hires for 2019-2020. Item E, ratifications of resignations. Item F, approval of 2018-19 annual developer fee report. Item G, updated 2019-2020 fundraisers. Item H, approval of early graduation petition, Mountain House High School. Item I, ratification of school-sponsored overnight trips. Item J, ratification of appointment of facilities committee community member. Item K, acceptance of donations. There are two, one for $3,500 from Lawrence Livermore National Security, LLC, Community Gift Program for Altamont School STEM Program, and $500 from Yoti Nayak for Hanson School Science Olympiad Program. I would like to remove item J for further discussion. Would anyone else like to remove any items? So we can go ahead and if someone would like to make a motion on everything with the exception of item J.
I'd move to approve with the exception of item J.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Goodrich, second by trustee Clements. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item J, ratification of appointment on the facility committee member, Saint Vinod. Saint is here tonight. This is the first time going through this process, so because it's the first time, I wanted to give a little pomp and circumstance. In the future, this will just be an item for consent, but again, it's the first time, so Saint, welcome, and I interviewed several folks over the phone. We had, how many apply? 18?
It was 18.
18 applied. We reduced that down. I interviewed several on the phone, and my selection was Saint. So to the board, item J, ratification of appointment of facilities committee member, Saint Vinod.
I will move to ratify the appointment of facilities community member, Saint Vinod.
Second.
A motion by trustee Lampel, second by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Saint, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Don't be late.
And before we move on, the regular portion that we do after consent, we'd like to welcome the following new staff members to our Lammersville family. Rohini Adapa, Special Education Paraprofessional. Jeanette Benish, Noon Duty Supervisor. Laura Calderon Mosqueda, Food Service Worker. Sherry Carbonaro, Acting Vice Principal. Melissa Carpenter, School Secretary. Derek Gillians, Food Service Worker. Andrew Hernandez, Custodian, Security 3. Sonia McIntyre, Administrative Secretary. Claudine Perez, Noon Duty Supervisor. Cynthia Soto, Instructional Aide. And Kalinda Ben Thacker, Noon Duty Supervisor. Welcome to Lammersville.
Mr. President, before we move on from consent items, I did want to say thank you to district staff for their patience in answering my questions on the budget revision. So,
Very good. District Administrative Reports. Item A is the Superintendent's Report.
I just have a couple of brief announcements. We want to say congratulations. The Spelling Bee is proving to be an annual event where we are well represented at the county level. And we have a young person, first grader from Wickland Elementary, Roheen Prashanth from Wickland, first grader again, amazing, is going to the state competition, having won first place in the junior division. So congratulations.
Wow.
And then I wanted to present to the board the certificate of recognition from the County Board of Supervisors. I was called a couple weeks ago by Dr. Jesse Garza-Roderick, Dean of the Delta College Mountain House campus, and our state and national award-winning early college pathway program was honored by them last week, and so we had an opportunity to go to their meeting, and we earned the certificate, so I'd like to present it to Mr. President on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors.
Well done. More great work. Thank you very much.
Because Brian's trying to get a picture.
I'll hold it up, like I earned it.
And that is my report.
Congratulations on this. We'll put it with the Golden Bell.
But, if I could, sorry to interrupt. The Golden Bell on your way out, if you look in from the foyer in through the glass, you'll see it. There are 3 Golden Bells prominently displayed in the cabinet, so you can see it. It's the middle one. It has a 40 on it.
We need 2 more so each board member can have one.
Item B, District Enrollment Report.
So on the posted board agenda, the enrollment, which was kind of sliding forward and backwards for about 2 weeks, was at 5994. But I'm proud to announce, and I want to say congratulations to the hard work of Ms. Boosthill there. As of this afternoon, we are at 6,001 students. There are 76 student enrollment packages pending, 18 of which are guaranteed to start on January 6th, the first day back from holiday break. So I can say we're at 594, 6,001, and 6,019 simultaneously.
And I was over at the CSD yesterday, and they're reporting over 20,000 residents in Mountain House now.
And still no grocery store.
But it's coming.
it's coming.
It's coming. They're moving
I've heard
dirt,
that for 15 years.
But now we can see them moving dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, item C, CAASPP data presentation.
I'd like to ask Assistant Superintendent Sherburne and Associate Superintendent Harrison. They're going to be presenting parts of these presentations of the next 2 items.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you so much for having me here again to share some information about the hard work that's been going on in Lammersville. We have, over the last several board meetings, shared information on the results of our CAASPP testing data that we use to monitor the effectiveness of our programs and the quality of our teaching. So tonight I want to share a slightly different way of looking at it. All Means All is really addressing the 25% of the students who are more in the struggling learner category for one reason or another. They may be English learners, they may be coming from economically deprived homes, they may have IEPs and special learning needs, something that makes it a little bit more challenging for them. So when we look at how are we serving the 25%, we have our ELA proficiency as measured by state testing on the left as I look at it, and math is on the right as I look at it. Overall, you can see what the percent of proficiency is for each of those subpopulations that we monitor more closely, as well as how we achieved overall. What you'll notice there, if you look in the darkest blue, you can see 70% proficient on ELA and 66% proficient on math. And then if you look at the subpopulations for any of the categories on either side, you can see that they are not equal in comparison to the overall category, which is why we're really looking at how we continue to intentionally put in supports that will help those students. What I want to point out is you'll also see a plus sign inside the pie shapes, and that plus is a percentage gain. In this case, if it had been a decline, there would have been a negative sign, but a percentage gain for just 1 year. So when you're looking at the socioeconomically disadvantaged group in math, they had a 7% gain. For the African American population in English language arts, we had a 4% gain. And again, gains for every single population. So it goes to show that the work that we have been doing, the hard work of our teachers, the commitment of our families to work with us, we are closing in on supporting those English learners and raising them to high, or our more struggling students to raise them up to high levels of achievement as well. So we want to look at, how we've been doing over time as well. When we have been a very high achieving district for quite a number of years, looking at the trend over 5 years, and this is for the district overall since we started state testing through the CAASPP system, you can see 58% to 70% over the last 5 years in language arts, a 48% to 66% gain in math, and those are quite significant gains when you're already a high achieving district on top of it. So we're quite proud of that. But we also wanted to say, what do the gains look like over a 5-year period of time for those significant subpopulations that we're working with? So you can see the gain and the rise. The lines roughly mirror the overall population in the dark blue, and you can see the percentage change noted in the circles at the either end of the lines. Again, language arts on the left side and math on the right side. So we're feeling really positive that we are making some gains that are roughly equal to the gains that we are making with the overall population. And we're continuing to look at how do we support our special education, our English learner students in the area of learning English language arts. You can see we've made an even greater incline with them in math, so that's pretty exciting. It's not enough to just monitor, though, that we're moving students up into the proficiency. Level 1 would be the lowest level of proficiency, and we want to move students out of level 1 and into levels 2, 3, or 4. So we're monitoring that lowest achieving group of students as well, and having a decline or the inverse line is actually a good thing here. We want to have less students in that level 1 category. So again, looking at English language arts and the percentage of students for those populations that were originally in that level 1 and how they have declined over the last 5 years, we're seeing the trend that we would like to see. The one exception that we are still working on is the 5-year trend with the special ed population in math. So we're continuing to dig in and look at that and see what else we can do to help support those students who are struggling. And if we look at our achievement as compared to the county and the state, districts across the state and across the country are monitoring their significant subpopulations of more challenged learners. We can see that Lammersville, which is the darker, taller, to be frank, column on each of the sections there would be Lammersville, and then the light blue is the county and the yellowish color is the state achievement. And what you can see is that the Lammersville subpopulation bar is oftentimes outperforming the entire population for the state or county, and outperforming the state or county for any individual subpopulation pretty significantly, more than double in many cases. So again, not good enough, something we want to keep working on. But in terms of saying, how are we doing? We are doing very well and moving in a positive direction. So what are some of the things that we've put into place, in particular last year and over the last few years, in order to get the gains that we've been getting? These are our LCAP goals. And underneath them, I've listed out some of the systems and structures, professional development that we have put in place specifically to address supporting all learners, but in particular our struggling learners. So we've developed underneath LCAP Goal 1 additional district data supports. We have implemented and provided professional development around strategic support and working with small groups of learners. We've implemented the professional learning community process, which is helping staff learn to identify students who are struggling quickly and intervene before there's a more larger scale failure at play. We, with the board's support, implemented the Student Services Department to help make sure students are at school and well behaved. We've implemented the Guru Math Pilot at several sites and are getting ready to start expanding that, hopefully. We have expanded our GATE program. We've implemented some supplemental programs such as iRead and ST Math in order to provide a systematic support for students. We've done professional development around English language development and meeting the needs of those students. We've done a lot of professional development with the math department, in particular at the high school, expanding the CTE, looking at the middle school schedule and how we align those pathways up to the high school. We've implemented the maker spaces, and the high school has done a really nice overhaul with their Epic Academy and working with those students who fit that program model. So there have been a lot of systematic efforts and supports and structures put in place, along with the great teaching that has been happening in the classroom. The next portion of it is to talk about looking at the social emotional components, the behavioral components a little bit deeper, and we have Mr. Harrison coming up.
So I'd like to just do a little introduction. In March of 2018, this board had the foresight to approve the job description of the Student Services Director, thereby creating a division for Lammersville Unified School District. That division now is 3 strong, and that division has a number of responsibility to our students and to our parents. That includes attendance, discipline, and social emotional needs of our students, and providing wraparound services for our students in Lammersville Unified School District. Irene Busatil is the acting director of student services, and her and her team are doing a great job. In the short time she's been here, she's hit the ground running and is doing a great job. So I'd like to invite her up and her team to give you a presentation on the mental health workings in Lammersville Unified School District.
Good evening, President Balzerini, trustees, student board member, and Dr. Nicholas. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. I have with me our district nurse, Amy Isler, our student services counselor, Kathy Euchre, and also our student services counselor intern, Charmaine Doe. So the vision for emotional well-being in Lammersville Unified School District, through collaboration between students, teachers, administrators, families, and the community, we envision a school environment where all students will be provided enrichment and support in the areas of academic, career, personal, and social development. Students that are eager to come to school regularly, engage in learning, have positive social interactions with teachers, peers, and parents as they set short and long-term goals to achieve lifelong success.
Good evening. My name is Charmaine. I'm the intern for the Student Support Counselor. So research has shown that emotional wellness is just as important as physical wellness, especially in a student's life. And the way that we kind of defined the emotional wellness is that we feel that students can learn better when they can accurately describe their emotions and how they would like to be supported, when they can self-reflect and identify effective stress coping mechanisms, and when they feel accepted among peers and empowered to contribute productively in the classroom. And so, according to the California Healthy Kids Survey from 2 years ago, this is done in the district every 2 years, about 25% of 7th graders and 33% of 9th graders in the district reported feeling chronic sadness or hopelessness in the last 12 months. And in terms of further research, we have also provided the links from that, should you want to refer to them.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Euchre, the Student Support Counselor. And so currently we have some great things going on for the well-being of our students. In the elementary schools, we are providing social-emotional groups as well as anti-bullying presentations. And at the high school, the Deputy District Attorney and his team came in and did some great classroom presentations regarding anti-bullying and cyber safety. Additionally, we are at all schools doing individual counseling, crisis triage, cyber safety, suicide prevention, and drug education. So to look at the processes and the improvements in the 2 years that I've been in the district with anti-bullying presentations, we had, I went into the schools last school year and did assemblies with 6th through 8th graders in 5 campuses. This year we changed it up a little and I went into the classrooms and about 540 students were able to hear my presentation. And during that presentation, I introduced to them our anonymous reporting procedure for bullying. And because of that, I actually walked them through the process, showed them where it was on the website, how to fill it out, how to make sure they submitted it. And because of that, there was 13 reports post-presentation, and actually that has increased since this report was, this presentation was written. So it worked. And as far as social-emotional groups, I've been working with. Last year I went into 3 schools and did groups with the small groups with the schools. This year I'm in 5 schools. Also, we've increased the age range for the groups that we are presenting to. So with the help of the high school counselors and the school psychologists, we were able to do 8 different social-emotional learning groups, which meant we reached about 61 high school students in about 56 sessions just in the first half of the school year. So it's really increasing. As far as individual counseling, last year I saw about 20. This year it's 32 at this point in the school year. Those presentations or those counseling sessions included suicide prevention, stress management, and just overall depression and issues they had in the classroom. The high school counselors do see students because I could only be there 1 day a week. And so they gave me a number of about approximately 30 to 75 students that had appointments. That does not include their walk-ins, so you could probably triple that number maybe. And then as far as drug education group, last year we had 13 students referred to us for the drug groups. This year 20 so far. And we have recently updated our presentation to include risks of e-cigarettes and vaping, since most of those the students referred were caught with something that had to do with vaping. So we we changed our presentation slightly for that.
Good evening. I'm Amy Isler. I'm the district nurse here at Lammersville Unified. And in regards to health services, we also take an active role in serving the emotional wellness of our students. We work with the mental health and school psychologists in identifying students that can benefit from mental health referrals. Through mental health first aid training, which I attended this year over at the county, we can help identify students in crisis and refer to mental health team. We can also serve as a second witness in administering a suicide risk assessment. Nurses also, we routinely see students present to us with complaints of, stomach aches, headaches, not feeling well. And these symptoms can be physical, or they can also stem from emotional and psychosocial issues. So we have found that healthcare and mental health professionals are realizing that the effects that childhood trauma and adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, can have on students, both mentally and physically. ACEs are identified as anything from abuse, both physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, and they can be neglect, both physical and emotional, or any sort of household dysfunction, including mental health issues with parents, incarcerated relatives, domestic violence, including the mother treated violently, substance abuse, and divorce. So these are things that, kids are going through that we might not have any idea of. And when they present to us, in the nurse's station with these sorts of ailments, then we can keep that in mind, that something at home might be causing this. Okay. So ACEs can also have many physical and emotional effects, including behavior. So lack of physical activity, smoking, taking up alcohol, drug use, missed work, once they're in the workforce. Physical and mental health can include severe obesity, diabetes, depression, suicide attempts, risky behavior with STDs, heart disease, cancer, stroke, COPD, and broken bones, just to name a few. So moving forward, we would like to incorporate trauma-informed care and motivational interviewing into our approach in supporting our students' emotional and physical well-being.
Okay, so in order to be able to provide great services to our students and making sure that we're covering academic and social emotional needs, it takes all of us working together. So in collaboration with the school administrators, we're able to better keep track of the students that are at risk. And also I work with, as I mentioned before, the school psychologists and the high school counselors to identify and provide services to these students that are in need of social emotional support. And also I work really close with the district RN and the school site LVNs in identifying or doing crisis triage, and also they're that second set of eyes when we do a risk assessment on a student.
So looking ahead, we want to make sure that we're continuing to expand the services that we're providing to students, specialized groups. So for example, students that we have concerns in regards to body image issues, confidence issues. Maybe it's a specific group to meet the emotional well-being needs of young ladies. So the list can kind of go on in regards to the specific subgroups and subpopulations that we want to address. Also staff development in regards to how do we support and teach our staff to be proactive in the identification of students that need additional supports, refining the procedures that we have so we make sure that we're truly meeting the need of all students, and also continue to promote the services that are available, because not everyone knows all the services that we have or that we have access through the Student Services Department, and also continuing to expand our community partnerships. We've added the District Attorney's Office through our SAR process, the referrals. Through that, we've also had some other partnerships for like the Parent Project, and so we're continuing to build those community partnerships outside of our sphere so that we can support all of our students and families. Any questions for us?
I think there's some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what or who starts the process for the team to do a risk assessment on a student?
So that would be whoever the initial report was. So sometimes that starts with a peer. And so a peer would say, report to a teacher in confidence, I'm concerned about my friend. And so then that would start the initial report.
So it could be a student, it could be any adult.
Yes.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little curious as to why we didn't have a more specific number as to who the high school counselors are seeing. 30 to 75 is really broad number.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
We can, I think part of it is because the high school counselors are seeing students, you know, in quick succession. And so we can work on getting a more firm number from them as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other questions?
I had a question about the drug education group. Students are referred when they've been caught with using drug or substance abuse. Is that only at the high school, or is it at the K-8s as well?
So if there was a concern with the student at the K-8s, they would also receive supports.
And is it in a group setting or individual counseling?
It's in a group setting.
A group setting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a specific curriculum that's being used, or
There is a curriculum that's being used, but then also adding to that curriculum based off of the needs that we're seeing for our students, specifically the vaping.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that reports were submitted through the website. What's the next process after that? After you receive a report, who receives it? What are the steps?
So after a report is processed through the website, that goes directly to the site administrator, and then there would be follow-up, calling the student in, interviewing the student, and then taking all the necessary precautions, and then, you know, of course, informing parents, guardians as well.
I kind of alluded to it in my board report, but this is a big interest of mine.
Yes.
This is going to kind of be my personal project for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be in touch, and I commend the district in putting effort into this area, because most districts aren't. We're having, as all of you know, more and more mandates coming down from our legislature with zero funding.
Yeah.
And most legislation around mental health, CSBA is opposing just because there's no funding tied with it.
Right.
So I plan on championing this, at least from my region, and of course, from our district. So I'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for what you guys are doing with our kids.
This is great.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention there's CSBA has endorsed a new tool that has an app associated with it. I'll get you the information just to check it out, see if it's something that you're interested in. Thank you. Item E, District Maintenance and Operations Report.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I have some good news. I received our hazardous materials inventory report from Keenan. They did that back at the end of October. I just want to read to you the summaries real quick here. It says the district continues to do a great job with keeping inventory low, storage areas organized, and disposing of outdated and old chemicals. We commend the district on their efforts in chemical storage and handling. So good news. Kudos to the high school staff as well as science chemicals and my maintenance staff for doing that. It's been a busy 6 weeks since the last board meeting. Met with several principals, Mountain House High School, Cuesta, Altamont, Lammersville. I met with several user groups that want to use our sites at the high school, Cuesta and Lammersville. I met with several reps from Turner, talking about remaining warranty items from Mountain House High School. This is a list we're working off, 2 pages here. That's still battling with them on that. I attended the construction meetings at Cordis, PDC, and the warehouse on November 20th and the December 4th, and today the 18th. Cordis, they are still working on the irrigation and the fencing and the mow bands around the perimeter. Rain's hampered them a little bit. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, data, all those trades are going on in all the buildings, so they're really working hard out there. The PDC received its first coat of stucco, the brown coat, and the taping and texturing is going on inside the building. The district office, there's a couple little things to do here still. The warehouse, interior framing's done, sheetrock's up, it's taped, it's ready for texture. The 2 roll-up doors are coming at the end of next week. The ceiling grid's scheduled for the end of next week, and the building's on schedule to be turned over to us in about a month, towards the end of January. On Wednesday, December 11th, I met with PG&E, Roblin, and the electrical subcontractor to talk about power needs for the building, for the warehouse building. On the 9th, met with Thor, Gloria, and Ryan to review the RFPs for the new grounds company. On the week of December 2nd, the stage side curtains were all installed at Cuesta, Altamont, Bethany, and Hanson. Those are all done. Installation, they look nice. Real clean installation. The guys did a really good job. So, on Monday, December 2nd, we had our annual fire inspection at Lammersville. That was fun. Here is a report. It's quite a few pages. Some housekeeping,
South County do that?
It is South San Joaquin County Fire Authority. So, the principal and I had a great time for 2-3 hours walking around Lammersville, and we have several things to get done. She's coming back on the 8th to check on us, see how we did. On the 26th, during Thanksgiving break on Tuesday, we did the fire inspection with French Camp McKinley Fire District for Mount House High School, Wickland, and Altamont. That went well. There's only a page and a half of things at those 3 schools. So, and they're coming back mid-January to check on those 3 sites. Just some labeling of some things they want labeled. Nothing major there. On Monday the 25th, our energy manager was in the district. She did an audit because we were shut down for the week. She went to all the school sites and lights were on, units were running, all that kind of stuff. So I have some of her report and I'll share that with the facilities committee tomorrow. On the 19th, I met with Spur again to talk about potential energy savings for the district. And again, I'll have more information for the facilities committee on that tomorrow. Our custodial staff planning calendar looks like this. Very simple. Has what hours are working, what staff's working, and what tasks are being over the break. Those are due to our office tomorrow at noon. We can review them, get them back to the leads and the heads out by Friday before the break. And then tomorrow I'll be meeting with the new grounds company if it's approved tonight, and we're going to walk all the school sites and see and go over scope of service and just to make sure they understand what properties are, what's the park, what CSD takes care of, and that's tomorrow afternoon. I'll be at the facilities committee meeting tomorrow night. And over the next 2 weeks we have a busy schedule, even though we're not working. We have 3 holidays, so we're working. I'm out this week checking all the thermostats to make sure that they're not going to be running the next 2 weeks. I did Lammersville tonight before the board meeting, and I got part of Wickland done. I'll finish Wickland tomorrow, and then I'll go to Bethany after that. I'll have everything done by Friday. We're doing our Bureau of Automotive Repair report, our smog checks. That's due at the end of this calendar year. We're doing our SIRS, our hazardous materials report. That's due at the end of this calendar year. The state was very nice to us, and they bombarded us with all these inspections report for all the wheelchair lifts and all the elevators. Instead of doing them when they actually do, they just come at once and just slammed us with a bunch of stuff. I got it on the 18th of November, and it's due Monday, the 23rd. So the wheelchair lifts are already done, and the elevators were getting done this week. So thanks to them. We have hood inspections going on at Altamont, Hanson, and Questa on the 26th. We have stormwater catch basin service at all the sites on January 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. And my office is working on spring use facilities. The sites are, we asked the sites to put in all their events for the spring before they leave on Friday. The user groups have till the 30th. The priority user groups have till the 30th to give us the requested dates. We'll go through those. And then we're opening up to the general public on Monday the 6th at 8 a.m. And then a staffing update, we conducted interviews for the lead position at the high school on December 5th, and an internal candidate was selected. Congratulations to Mayor Khan. He works at the high school, he gets promoted to lead, so congratulations to him. And then also on the 5th, we interviewed for the remaining custodial openings, and we selected 3 candidates, and they're moving through the hiring process. And hopefully after the first of the year, we'll have everybody on board, and we should be done. Hopefully, knock on wood.
That'll be
year with
fully staffed.
hiring. That should be fully staffed.
Finally. Very good. Okay.
Better knock twice.
I do have a quick question. You mentioned that the fire inspections that French Camp didn't have anything major in it. What about Lammersville? Was there anything major in that one?
Nothing major. She's, how should I say?
Picky?
She's very interesting, the way she interprets the rules.
They
and
they revamped that bureau, so.
Very, I don't want to say nitpicky, but pretty nitpicky on things. And, yeah.
I deal with health inspectors, and she just makes new stuff up every time she comes, so I get
according to her, everything's by the book. Some of the stuff I've never heard of in 30 years doing this, but apparently there's a book I don't know about. But we're going to have a couple things I'm going to have to argue with her about in the multi and stuff, but most of it's pretty straightforward. Housekeeping, that kind of stuff. Fire extinguishers covered, things labeled. Nothing serious, nothing hazardous. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
As I mentioned in my report, I've done site visits at all the campuses so far, and several still seem to be having issues with gophers, and I wondered if you could update us on.
So the only ones I know of are Hanson and Cuesta, and we have the gopher service out there. They come out twice a month, and we're doing a better. They usually come out on Saturday, but we've had them come out during the week so we could actually physically show them where the issues are, and a lot of them are inside the perimeter fence, so we're giving them a gate key so they can get in and get where they need to be. So, do you know of any other sites? Those are the two I know.
Those are the ones that.
Okay. So we do pay for a service. They come out to all the sites twice a month. It costs us $100 a month each site, something like that. So
I know you don't have anything to do because, you know, you have a very short list. But I was wondering if there's any update on fencing at Altamont.
what was that?
The fencing at Altamont?
The one that fell? So I looked at it on Monday with Mr. Yeager, the principal, and the lead custodian. I can't see any reason why it fell. There's nothing broke. It's hard to say. The gates are really, really heavy. It sits on a V track and rolls. I don't see, my understanding is students are first or second grader. I don't know how they got it off the track. Right now, we just took them all off, and they're sitting in a closet waiting. I'm going to talk to Thor about it tomorrow, see what he wants to do. But I can't see anything that's broken or any reason why they came off.
Thank you.
So,
And was there a camera in the area or not? Do we know?
We do not believe there is. I'm still checking one last area.
Okay.
Have you contacted the installer or manufacturer of that to see if there's any, because sometimes they have safety
have not.
issues, and they will recommend putting a stop or a clamp or something to.
So, yeah, if the direction is to put them back up, then there are some stops that hang, some L brackets that hang down on each side to kind of keep the gate in line. The custodians took those off when they took the gates off, so I presume they're all there, but I don't know. So if they go back up, we'll make sure they're all there and good to go. So I'm just waiting for, I'm going to talk to her tomorrow, and we'll get direction tomorrow. Okay, so.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? Okay. Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, thank you.
Very much.
Action items. Item A, consider approval of 2019-2020 inter and intra-district transfer requests. There's no staff report. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve 2019-2020 inter and intra-district transfer requests.
Second.
And beat me.
We have a motion by trustee Clement, second by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, will you please introduce item B?
Yes, item B is to consider approval of ordinance number 19-20-001, entitled Ordinance of the Governing Board of the Lammersville Joint Unified School District levying special taxes within the Lammersville Joint Unified School District Community Facilities District number 2019-1, Mountain House School Facilities, and waive its full reading.
Lot to say, so I let her do it. On November 6, 2019, this board held public hearings and landowner election for Community Facilities District number 2019-1. At that time, the board introduced an ordinance levying special taxes within the district. State law requires a district to levy special taxes in the Community Facilities District by ordinance. The board will now consider adoption of the ordinance levying taxes in the district. This is sometimes called the second reading of the ordinance. Action item B, consider approval of ordinance 1920-001, entitled Ordinance of the Governing Board of the Lammersville Joint Unified School District levying special taxes within the Lammersville Joint Unified School District Community Facilities District number 2019-1, Mountain House School Facilities, and waive its full reading. I will entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance and to waive the reading of the full ordinance.
I'll move for approval. I was just going to say as proposed.
Pombo.
I wasn't going to read it again.
I have a motion by trustee Pombo, second by trustee Clements. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And roll call. Yeah.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Ann Benia.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Item C, consider approval to allow murals at Mountain House High School as recommended by the Facilities Committee. So, yeah, we create a little mess here. I'm sorry, go ahead, staff report.
Oh, so a wonderful act of generosity from the sports boosters led to said mess. So we have a recommendation for, we had a proposal of murals brought forward. There were 4. The Facilities Committee made one recommendation led by our student trustee, Mohammed. We had student feedback, which led to 2 other additional different mural recommendations. The 2 locations here up on the board are the alcoves, or whatever you want to call them, in the gym. And so it's up to the board's discretion which direction they want to give staff to execute the mural project.
So I did have an idea. Looking at this, since the students like the 2 murals with the horses, and the Facilities Committee like the 2 murals with the athletes, I would suggest we go with one of each.
Oh, that was my original suggestion.
I thought you were going to recommend having the athletes riding the horses.
So polo.
Yeah, polo, right.
Mr. President, I believe, and I would like to ask, if it's all right, a question of student trustee is, I believe the students' issue with the athletes one is there weren't enough athletes in the picture. Is that correct?
Right. They wanted to see other sports as well.
Other sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, noticeably the football is definitely missing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I thought of that when I was looking at it, but I think football is so well advertised.
It is,
You know,
but it's
that-
also very well supported.
Yeah.
And so I can see that would be a concern.
Yeah,
myself.
football doesn't miss any attention
Oh, no.
whatsoever.
That's for sure. But
I like option 1 better than option 2 because in option 2, there's a kid standing around doing nothing. So,
and she looks angry.
with an attitude.
Well, and I think it was, my understanding was it was representative of sports that are in the gym.
Yeah.
I see. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I too like option 1.
Yes.
And then I forget which horses I liked because I can't see right now about my head. But I liked the Go Big Blue. The one that said Go Big Blue.
Those were actually the 2 that I was going to recommend as well.
I actually like the wording, but the picture on 4.
The one horse.
Yeah, the one horse
but
with,
that-
instead of whose house, Go Big Blue
Mm-hmm.
on that one. I just think when it gets big, the way that is drawn, it's going to lose some definition in number 3.
Okay. So you want to form that in a motion?
Sure. I move that we approve. Could you go back to the other slide, please? Option 1 and option 4, but using the wording in option 3.
I second.
That would be option 3.5, right?
I'll go for that.
Well, I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Mr. President, real quick before the board votes, would you like, with the student feedback of seeing if more sports from the option 2 can be added somehow to option 1, would you like us to look into that, or would you like us just to let it go and go option 1 straight up?
What's the will of the board?
I think option 1 straight up because it shows what's represented in the gym.
And I think if we try to put a boy and a girl of each and so on and so forth, it's going to get crowded and it will just look like a...
Too much detail?
Mm-hmm.
I think as proposed was sufficient. So I have a motion by trustee Lempel, second by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So agreeable.
Item D, consider approval of Jensen Landscape Management 1-year contract for grounds, landscape, and maintenance of district facilities, $264,000 per year. Staff report.
Our previous service provider slowly but surely was a diminishing return with an exponent of 2 or 3. They, in spite of excellent work on Mr. Director Legrand and Associate Superintendent Harrison's part of pressuring them to improve the quality of work, multiple meetings, multiple efforts failed to produce better work. So we went out and found a replacement. This is the company. We're very excited about this opportunity. We have some beautiful campuses with beautiful landscapings, and the quality of the services we get need to represent the standard of the district.
Move to approve Jansen Landscape Management one-year contract for grounds, landscape, and maintenance of district facilities, $264,000 per year.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion or comments? I have a question. In the proposal, it does talk about that they work with schools. I just want to make sure that we're not going to continue to have issues with landscapers around the students and some of the issues that we've had most recently. Was that discussed or addressed?
That has been discussed and addressed by the company.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, can we know what it is? Are they bonded? Are they fingerprinted? Are they not there when the kids are there?
Correct. We gave them the bell schedules so that they could work around the students being on campus. Historically, with our previous company, they would come before kids came to school. So that is what we're going to try to do moving forward with the new company as well.
So their employees are not fingerprinted with subsequent reporting?
If their employees work on school grounds, they are fingerprinted, just like the previous company.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion by trustee Clemens, second by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of a contract with Demco for furniture in the PDC, $158,434.94. Any staff report?
Assistant Superintendent Sherburne is very excited about the progress at the Professional Development Center. One of her tasks, and supported by Mr. Harrison, was to pick out the furniture, and this is the furniture for the project. The PDC presently has been drywalled, and so her team is going to get an opportunity to walk through there and see it in real time. So not only are we excited about its progress, but this is the furniture bid that we're going to go with.
I'll move for approval of the contract with Demco for furniture in the Professional Development Center for $158,434.94.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Lampel, second by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, consider approval of the 5-year LUSD deferred maintenance plan. Staff report?
Yes, so there's concurrent things happening with this recommendation. Number one, it's the district's intention to, as quickly as possible, get a 5004 application for modernization projects on the state funding list. A year ago, we were rushing to get on the list to get Prop 51 money when Prop 51 money was completely allocated. Did I say allocated? So I don't know. There was an alligator that allocated money, and therefore it allocated a result. Unbelievable.
That's a half and half, right?
Other than inventing new words, so 5004 application, that's goal number one. Goal number two is to have a 5-year plan that establishes and identified projects to maintain our campuses, which one of which is over 15 years old now. And then, of course, there's Lammersville, which we have identified a project list last year. So, in order to get on the 5004 application list, the board needs to approve a deferred maintenance plan. Then that's presented to the board here. This is a fantasy plan. It is the full ask. What we want and need from the board is approval, and we started with the biggest ideas that we have, and then staff is going to go back and identify what is a manageable funding process to get as much done annually so that we can maintain the schools, but also there's a larger money amount. So it won't have any impact. The fantasy version doesn't impact the 5004 application, but it checks two boxes for us. One, the 5004 application, and two, we have the full ask, and now we have to go and create a realistic plan to execute that.
Excellent way to do it. Pie in the sky, I love it.
Move to approve the 5-year LUSD deferred maintenance plan.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, I was just going to say kudos to whoever can follow all of that and manage it.
Motion by trustee Clements, second by trustee Pombo. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 1920-14 for substitute temporary classified salary rates, information technology technician. Staff report?
Yeah, we have a policy and a practice in this case that was misaligned, and it was discovered by staff, so they brought it forward. So this would just be formally board approval to follow the practice of the appropriate pay for this particular substitute cost.
I'll move for approval of Governing Board Resolution 19-20-14 for substitute temporary classified salary rates for the information technology technician.
Second.
A motion by trustee Lampel, seconded by trustee Benia. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Ann Benia.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Item H, consider approval of the first interim financial report for the 2019-2020 school year. Staff report.
It is my pleasure to recommend approval of this first interim report, positive certification. I want to thank our new Assistant Superintendent of Business, Gloria Grijalva, and her partner, Alvina Kaiser, for their good work in this matter.
Move to approve the first interim financial report for the 2019-2020 school year.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion by trustee Clements, second by trustee Lampel. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Information discussion items. Item A, first reading of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Staff report?
None.
Anything from the committee?
A nice, manageable length of board policies. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item
We'll make
B.
up for it on the next batch.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Item B is the short-term independent study. We'll have staff report, and then we'll open it for public comment.
So we have Director Bustil and Associate Superintendent Harrison. There's a piece of information we'd like to present to you here, but there's been community feedback on this particular policy, and we wanted to give information to the board for them to discuss that information in part with the policy.
Board President Balzerini, trustees, Dr. Nicholas, thank you for having me. So we wanted to give you some updated information related to short-term independent study. And some of that is some information about the days that are completed for a short-term independent study contract and the days that are not. So we have 2 years of data to share with you. In 2018-19, you can see it's a vertical column. The days requested, meaning the number of days requested for short-term independent study contracts, total 2,349 days. The days recouped, meaning the days that were completed, contracts completed, students did the work, etc., turned out to be 1,907. So that's a percentage of about 81.18% completion rate. And then the ADA impact's about $20,410. Fast forward to 2019-20, there's 971 days requested to date, with 792 days recouped for a grand total of 81.57% completion rate, and with a total loss of 7,864 ADA.
Can I ask you a question before we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we know how many requests, how many students?
The raw number of students?
Yeah. About? Okay.
We do not have that.
I was just
Sorry.
curious. It
Yeah.
didn't really matter. Yeah.
And if I could go on to slide 2, any questions on, yes, sir?
Can I ask a question on this one? The ADA impact, that is the 18.82% that didn't complete it is the ADA impact.
That's
correct?
the fiscal impact, yes, sir.
So there would be a commensurate number of around 80,000 that we recouped through the completed ones.
You would be correct. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the next slide is a comparison of current practice and what we do with short-term independent study versus a potential change that we've talked about in student services. So there's scenarios on the left-hand side and our outcomes. So I'll read through those for current practice, and then I'll go through the potential changes for future practice. Scenario 1, student returns on time and submits all assigned works. all ADA is recouped. The student is eligible for independent study contract in the future, eligible to seek independent study contract through appeal process if there was any issues. The next scenario, student returns on time and assigned work is incomplete. So ADA is recouped based on completed work. So let's say the student did 40% of the work, we would get 40% of the recouped ADA, right? 40% of the work would be turned in to teachers. They would get credit for that 40% of the work. If the contract is not completed, that student under current practice is no longer eligible for short-term independent study. Column 3, student does not return on time but work is submitted electronically. All ADA can be recouped for all the days identified on the contract, but the ongoing absences and work are unexcused. And there's no work in the ongoing days because the contract was for a set number of days and that work was not acquired. And as you're aware, we require a 10-day notice for teachers to gather work, so you couldn't get additional work while you're out on a contract and try to extend. No ADA, I think I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, sorry, thank you. No longer eligible for independent study would be the outcome number 2 because they did not complete the contract. Number 4, student does not return on time and work is not submitted electronically. Obviously, there's no ADA recouped, there's no work completed, so the grade suffers, and the student would no longer be eligible for independent study contracts moving forward.
That's what we're currently doing now.
Yes, sir. Okay, so there is some potential changes that we've discussed in student services. Student returns on time, this is scenario 1. Student returns on time and submits all assigned work, no change, same practices we've had in the past. Student returns on time and assigned work is incomplete. Student assigns Saturday school to complete missing work and to get that work complete and turned into their teacher that wasn't completed during the contract time. Option 3, student does not return on time but work is submitted electronically. Assign Saturday school to recoup the days that were missed, the ADA that was lost, potential loss of current class placement or potential loss of current school placement if the student is on an IDA. In other words, if the student doesn't return the contract's 10 days and they come back in 30 days, we can't guarantee that their spot is held. That's what that line indicates. Meaning that we have high impact schools, we have classes that are full, we have students enrolling literally constantly. So if you don't show up and come back, you have the potential of losing your spot in that said class or losing your spot with the IDA.
We don't currently do that?
We do not currently do that.
So they're on a 10-day independent study, and they come back 30 days later. Within that extra 20 school days, we've taken no action. How long do we hold them on our register?
Well, we hold them until we know if they've gone to another school of enrollment, right? Because we can't drop somebody unless we know their school of enrollment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would suggest to the family, if they communicate with us, have you enrolled your child in school where you are? If they've done that, we can drop them from our books, right? But if they haven't done that, we can't do that. And then lastly, I am on the last one, yeah. Thank you, the 4th. Student does not return on time and work is not submitted electronically. Student is assigned Saturday school to complete missing work and recoup the ADA. Loss of current class placement and loss of current school placement is a potential outcome 2 and 3. Right now, at this moment, we do not have K-8 students attending Saturday school. This is a proposal. This is a plan that we've been talking about. We do have at least 2 Saturday schools a month at the high school where we could bring a 7th or 8th or 6th grade teacher to the high school to facilitate Saturday school for students in grades 6, 7, and 8. And that is my additional information besides what we included in our memo.
Can I ask a question? Can you pull up that last slide?
Yes, ma'am.
So in your potential change, I'm noticing that none of the outcomes include no longer eligible for independent study. Is that correct? Or are you carrying that over?
That's carried over. We
That's
didn't
carried over?
rewrite that.
Okay, that was my question. Okay,
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be
Now,
sure.
of course, they could do an appeal to the board, which was discussed last time when we talked about this item, which there is a form in the packet for an appeal.
Okay, thank you.
But the issue brought by the public in the past was about the number of occurrences. That was the major issue, correct?
Yes, the limit of 3 contracts in a K-12 student career.
Okay, this is just in addition to, since if we're going to revisit it, let's take a look at this. Is that kind of?
Yeah, and giving options to the families and the kids to A, make up work, and B, make up time. It's kind of meeting them halfway a little bit in that aspect.
Are there any questions from the board?
I want to make sure that, I think this was asked and answered, and I apologize. I just want to make sure I understand. So if the student does go to Saturday school, like in the potential change, the very bottom row, does not return on time and work is not submitted electronically, they can go to Saturday school, complete the missing work, the ADA would be recouped, but they would still no longer be eligible for future independent study.
Well, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want,
Now that's,
they can appeal and.
yeah.
Yeah, because
They get to make up the work.
They're supposed to do the work while they're away, not just leave the packet at home, go off to another country, and do it when they come back the night before. I know, it's just, I've been a principal dealing with these, and I've been a teacher having to write this. I don't think the public understands how much work these are for teachers. And they don't get extra time to prepare these, and it's a lot of work. I'm not objecting to them. I understand everything that the parents said at our last meeting. We do have an appeal process.
Are there any more questions for Mr. Harrison?
I would like to point out one more thing. I'm sorry that we do not allow the contracts 20 days from the start of school and 20 days to the end of school. We don't allow that. I just want to make sure I clarify that too.
That's in current policy.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Mr. Harrison. I think he can answer it, although it's not part of what you just presented. On the attachment for independent study comparison, several of the other districts have, where it's under limited, have wording similar to minimum of 5 days and no more than 1 week for all grade levels. To me, that it's a lot of words to not say a lot.
Yeah.
5 days and a school week are the same thing, so it's saying that it can only be for 5 days, no more, no less.
Correct.
And when it says for all grade levels, does that mean per grade level or once for all grade levels combined? Or is there a definition of that? Or is that unambiguous statement stand on its own? And
I'm going to have to defer to Ms. Busatil. She did the research. Why don't you go ahead?
Let's see here. So the minimum of 5 days and no more than 1 week for all grade levels. That is regardless of the student, because some districts would make a distinction between middle school students, high school students, elementary age students. So that is for the grade level, not necessarily how many contracts they can have in a career. So when we pose that question, it would really vary in regards to some districts don't allow any contracts whatsoever, and they kind of like laughed, to where some don't have any limits to the number that a student can have in their career.
And some of the other districts say 2 per year.
Yes.
Or, 3 during their 12, K through 12.
Correct.
But there are several that list it the way I just asked. That would give the impression that maybe there's no limit for the
Correct.
the amount that you can have in a career.
Correct.
Just that's the annual limit of 1 5-day period per grade level.
Correct. That's how I interpret it as well.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, the Tracy policy says 20 days maximum. That means for their whole school career, correct?
That is for a year.
20 days in a year.
Okay,
thank you.
Yes.
So as we move through the process of considering if we're going to make any changes to this, I'd like to see on our current practice the percentage or raw numbers of each of those 4 categories. What are they coming back with? How often are the students returning on time and submitting all the assigned work,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
And I would like to see the number of students that have requested.
Yeah, my first question.
Yeah, her first
Yeah.
question. So how many students last year went on independent study? How many students this year went on independent study?
Mm-hmm. We have all that. I can pull it together for you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call public comment at this time. Jillian?
Good evening, President and trustees of the board. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to see this topic on the agenda today. Like I said, I'm beyond excited. I wanted to take a quick moment to share our experience. As a family, we did independent study last year. My daughter was in first grade and we took a trip to China. We never thought we'd make our way to China, but we won a contest and therefore said we can't say no to that opportunity. So we were out for 10 days. My daughter's teacher prepared us a packet with the very long flight there and the very long flight back. My daughter was able to complete her packet, and we actually went above and beyond. And in order to also benefit the class, we created a book. And it is now still part of the classroom's library and is a favorite book still to this year of going through our adventures. We had taken Bethany Bobcat, stuffed animal from the classroom, and Bethany Bobcat went all the adventures with us, got pictures everywhere, and enjoyed the expeditions that we went on as a family. Still to this day, my daughter and my son reflect on this adventure to China and touching and feeling all the wonderful things that we saw and did together. So having this independent study policy is fantastic. I'm looking forward to the change, and I'm looking forward to working with the superintendent and staff. And I can tell you many families are looking forward to seeing the opportunity that they can take their family to different parts of the world and educate their children with seeing, doing, and stuff as a family unit. And mental health was also brought up earlier today. And there's so many studies that show that when a child is out there exploring and seeing the world, experiencing cultures, that their mental health sees a great benefit from all of that. So I appreciate your time and looking into this policy and seeing that it's changed to be more in line with, like I said, neighboring districts. So thank you so much.
So further discussion from the board.
I think there's just more data that I'd like to see before I can move forward. I think we do need to look at the policy and how we can recoup some of the ADA and help students benefit and get their education if they're out. But I think the information brought forward by Student Services has been very informative.
Agreed. So shall we bring this back to our next meeting as a discussion item to continue on with some more data?
Continue discussion, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just like to make a couple of comments. Couple of the big things that I see here are, in many cases, parents are going to do what they're going to do, and if we have the independent study available to them, they will do that. It appears as though 81% or over 80% fulfill the contracts, we get the ADA. If we limit it, I think a lot of parents are going to do what they're going to do, only the kids won't have the benefit of having that program available to them, and at the same time, the district will lose out on a lot of ADA that we could recoup by working with families.
I agree. I just, as kind of mentioned earlier, I caution, just because of the amount of staff time it takes to prepare these, that we're making sure they're coming back and the work is being completed. And I think that there definitely needs to be consequences for not fulfilling the contract.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't like that some districts have unlimited or, you know, two 10-day maximums per year, or those, that's too many days for a kid to miss school. But I also see the need that many families have of taking vacation when kids are in school, because that's when the parents can get vacation time from their job. So I think it's something that we have to find a reasonable medium ground out there and move forward.
Agreed.
I was going to say, I think there's probably a middle ground that I would like to find. And the way the policy works, where essentially it's one strike and you're out. If you apply for a independent study program and you don't complete it, you're ineligible for future ones. So it's not like, I'm going to use the word recidivism or whatever, you know, like, it's not like you'll have, you know, one student continuously applying for and then not doing it. They kind of eliminate themselves. The parents and the child eliminates themselves. So I think there is a middle ground there.
And the teacher work aside, I actually feel for the families that don't do this every year, don't purposely plan a vacation every single year of their child's K-12 education, but when they do it, they make sure that the student does the work. You know, 2 flights from China, yeah, they can finish all that work in that amount of time. That the families who are not following the rules and not submitting what they're supposed to submit are making it tough on the families that do.
Okay. We'll bring it back at our next meeting. Thank you to Student Services for all the data. We're looking forward to more data. Item C, next Cellular Tower Town Hall meeting, Saturday, January 11th, 2020.
Do we have a time on this? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it says 10 to 11:30.
10 a.m. to 11:30.
And I'm assuming it would be at the
High school again.
at the multi-use room again?
As far as we know, yes.
Okay.
And just a quick, based on feedback of the board and observation from staff, there's going to be some formatting change with this presentation. I have been to hundreds of events in this community. It's the first time that I can say that I was at an event where I thought that people were in the audience were rude and showed a lack of respect. When this board or this district reach out to the community, this board has always listened. And maybe people in the community haven't appreciated the board's decision, but the board always has listened. So there needs to be an established set of expectations at this meeting. In terms of people calling out, talking over each other, using opportunities to do the gotcha emotional statement and all that stuff. We will have a staff, probably myself, present the ground rules, for lack of a better term. There will be a scientific presentation that was requested and not delivered the last time, which I think will help educate attendees. And then there will be a kind of a round-robin opportunity for people to get educated on the specific categories of or areas of expertise of the people who will be attending, representing AT&T and their consultants. But it's an opportunity to get informed. This board is going to be given a recommendation. They will give direction, and they will do so in an informed way, and everyone will be treated with respect.
And we'll make sure that Assistant Superintendent Sherburne's procedures are followed. They were just ignored last time. It was rude.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Item D, joint DLAC and Education Committee date change. F-Port.
Yeah, there was a conflict with open houses and this meeting. Assistant Superintendent Sherburne put a date in there that she's hoping that will work on the calendar. If that's okay, then we just wanted to let you know, and
we'll make it work from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. Annual reorganization of the governing board of officers. Here we go. So it's not outlined as much on this one as it normally is, but we'll start off with nominations and then have an election for each position. Starting off with call for nomination of board president.
I'd like to nominate
President Balzerini.
And I'd like to nominate David Pombo.
Okay. Any other nominations? For Balzerini. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, for trustee Pombo, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
For board clerk,
I nominate Colin Clements.
and I will nominate trustee Lampel. All in favor for trustee Clemens?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. For trustee Lampel, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nominations for representative to county committee, district representative, I would nominate trustee Pombo to continue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of appointing Dr. Nicholas as secretary to the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Want to switch or just take it from there?
We can continue from
Okay.
where we're sitting.
Okay.
So, calendar. Thursday, December 19th is the next Facilities Committee meeting at 6:30. December 23rd to January 3rd, 2020 is the winter break. Wednesday, January 11th, 2020 is the next Wellness Committee meeting at 3:30 here in the boardroom. Wednesday, January 15th, there's something wrong there because those are only 4 days.
They both can't be Wednesdays.
I'm going to go with the date rather than the day. And January 15th is the next Safety Committee meeting. January 15th, 2020 is the next Governing Board meeting, so that must be a Wednesday. So I'm guessing the Wellness Committee meeting must be on the
Saturday.
Yes, that's on a Saturday, so that seems a little odd. I thought
must
that
be
was.
on Wednesday, the 8th, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think we have a fumble here, so we'll get an email to the board and.
Okay.
Thursday, January 30th, 2020 is the next DLAT committee at 6:30 in the the Lammersville Elementary School multi-use room. In a moment, we're going to adjourn to closed session where we will discuss public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint, student discipline, other confidential matters, education code sections 3514-6 and 4890 and 4891-2B. Conference with labor negotiators, conference with, or consider approval of long-term leave of absence for certificated employee 130219 from January 30th, 2020 to February 28th, 2020. Conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, code 54956.9. Conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, code 54956.9. Conference with real property negotiators, code 54956.8.
I'll move that we adjourn to closed session.
Second.
We're now adjourned to closed session. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Because he wanted to contact me about
Resuming to open session at 10:25 PM. In closed session, the board took action on a motion by trustee Valzerini and seconded by trustee Lampel for the stipulated agreement suspended expulsion of student number 192004 for violation of board policy 5131.7 and education code 48900B. Correction, on a motion by Ann Bonilla and seconded by Sharon Lampel. It passed by a 5-0 vote. Board also took action on a motion by Ann Bonilla and seconded by Colin Clements to approve staff recommendation for stipulated agreement suspended expulsion of student number 192005 for violation of board policy 5131.4 and education code section 48900A1 and education code 48900A2 for the 2019-2020 school year by a vote of 4 ayes and 1 nay. Trustee Lampel was the lone nay. Board took action on a motion by trustee Lampel and seconded by trustee Bonilla to approve staff recommendation for stipulated agreement suspended expulsion for student number 1920-06 for violation of board policy 5131.4 and education code section 48900A1 and 48900A2 for the 2019-2020 school year by a 5-0 vote. The board took action on a motion by trustee Lampel and seconded by trustee Bonilla to approve the staff recommendation for stipulated agreement suspended expulsion of student number 192007 for violation of board policy 5131.6 and education code section 48900C and education code 48915A1C for the 2019-2020 school year by a 5-0 vote. Closed session item D, consider the board approved the long-term absence for certified employee number 130219 from 1/30/20 to 2/28/20 on a motion by trustee Bonilla and seconded by trustee Lampel by a 5-0 vote. Board took action on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Bonilla to approve final settlement agreement resolving an anticipated litigation of student versus Lammersville Unified School District. The district will provide student with compensatory education in exchange for the student's agreement to waive all claims to date against the district. And the motion was passed by a 5-0 vote. We are now adjourned
I'll make
from.
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now adjourned from open session. Good night.